Welcome back. Hello. This is the next instalment, part 5 of the motorcycle ride in the Southern Highlands of New South Wales. In this clip, I will be starting at the southern end of Moss Vale, riding through Moss Vale, the town of Moss Vale, taking the Illawarra Highway turn off on the northern end of Moss Vale, and then taking some other turn-offs and roads, ending up on a road called Sheepwash Rd, taking me back towards Bowral. I will talk about those places a little bit as we go along, and tell you a bit more about each place as we go along, and then talk about whatever else happens to interest me. So we're coming into Moss Vale from the southern end at the moment. We're just past the Moss Vale Services Club, I think it's called, a little bit further back there. Moss Vale's a reasonably big sized town. I don't know how many people live there, but it's a reasonably big sized town. It has a very long sort of main street that we're still in at the moment, and we haven't yet reached what I would consider to be the central shopping area. There's a primary school, a public school, a high school, and there are several private schools in the area. One in the main street called St Paul's College, I think it's called St Paul's College, and another one called Tudor House, which is out of Moss Vale on the Illawarra Highway, and we'll see that as we go along. Just gone under the railway line there. I think that's a railway line that goes to Wollongong, and this area here is the main shopping precinct, I guess, the CBD. There are a couple of sets of traffic lights in Moss Vale. The railway station is just up here on the right left-hand side, and as I mentioned in an earlier video, it's common for people in Goulburn who are wanting to go to Sydney to get a bus to Moss Vale, which will then take them to this stop here, and then pick up the train from there. A number of car dealerships in Moss Vale as well. They're coming up on both the right and left-hand side, just coming up this hill here. Some of the less common, like one of the dealerships here, I think on the left-hand side, just around this bend, is a Peugeot dealership. There's a Toyota dealership here on the right. See the sign there indicating a large roundabout coming up. Continuing ahead, going straight ahead, would take you to Bowral, but I'm going to turn right onto the Illawarra Highway. And taking that turn, you have a couple of options. One is you can go to Wollongong, and the other is you can go to Nowra. If you go to Wollongong, I think the highway actually goes down Macquarie Pass and comes out at Albion Park. It might be Albion Park Rail. Then you make the appropriate turns to go to Wollongong, which is north of there. A little bit further along on this road, you can make a turn that will take you to Fitzroy Falls and Kangaroo Valley, and then that'll take you to Nowra. But you can also have an option when you get along that way somewhere towards Robertson of either going down the Camberwarra Mountain or going down through Jamberoo. So there are quite a number of choices. And all of those roads, the Jamberoo Road, the Camberwarra Road and the Macquarie Pass Road, are all good motorcycling roads. In other words, they're roads with lots of bends and twisties and that sort of thing that motorcyclists enjoy, but they're also roads where you need to be quite careful. You need to pay attention to the road and not be overconfident about your abilities. Now, I'm not here to be the safety police or lecture people on how they should ride their bikes and so on. It's just I always take the attitude, and I think it's a good attitude for other people to take, is if you don't know the road, then ride a bit more cautiously than you would if you did know the road. If it's a road that you travel on all the time, you can say, well, I know all the bends and turns and all that sort of stuff, but if it's a road you only occasionally travel on, then you don't know it as well and you have to be a bit more cautious. And we're coming up to the outskirts of Moss Vale. We just passed a showground a little bit further back there, and Moss Vale High was on the right, and now we're on the I'm on the Illawarra Highway. I spoke about the other private schools. That's in Moss Vale, Tudor House, which is down this road. A little bit further along, you'll see the school signs coming up shortly. mining of a 40-kilometre zone and so on. It's a preparatory school for the King's School in Sydney. So the King's School is 7 to 12, but the preparatory school, kindergarten to year 6, or one of the preparatory schools, the kindergarten to year 6 school, is the Tudor House School, which is just up here. Now, while we're talking about roads, and as you can see here, the road is pretty well made. There are markings down the middle, and there are markings on each side of the road, and there are those white guideposts as well, and the shoulders for the most part seem to be fairly well made. So the usual provision is that you can pull over, drop your stand down in your bike road, sort of get on a terribly steep angle that makes it hard for you to get back off the stand and on the road again. But as with all roads, when you pull over to the side of the road, you need to be aware of the traffic coming behind you, step off your bike or out of your car for that matter, safely and carefully for your own safety. I spoke earlier about the old English, or the English countryside feel of the roads and area in the Southern Highlands, and along this way a lot you'll see houses with stone walls and hedges and things like that. So I've just made a turn here onto the road that'll take you to Fitzroy Falls and Kangaroo Valley, and this is where you can, if I had continued straight ahead, I would have stayed on the Nowra Highway and taken me to Albion Park and then on to Dapto and Wollongong. But if I continue on this road, it'll take me through past Fitzroy Falls, through Kangaroo Valley, and then I have the choice of, as I said, going down through Jamboree or going down Camberwarra Mountain and ending up in Nowra. So there's lots of places along here that you'll see that has that sort of feel of the old English countryside, or the English countryside. A lot of this land is agricultural land as well as state land, but I think it's mainly stud land. In other words, the farming here is more about breeding animals for stud, or having a stud where you breed animals rather than animals that are then sheep or cattle that are taken to market for food. Making a left-hand turn here, if I'd gone right, that it would have taken me back to Bundanoon. So there's an option to just north of Bundanoon, instead of continuing over the railway line as I did into Exeter and Sutton Forest, I could have stayed on the eastern side of the railway line, and it would have taken me through the other side of Exeter and then around onto this road here and eventually to Fitzroy Falls. So there are a few options. I don't know a lot about this area because although I've travelled this road a couple of times for a ride like this, I don't know the area that well. So some of the things that I pass, I can't give you much information or much commentary about them because, as I said, I don't know them that well. I was out running today, today being the 12th of August that I'm recording this audio, and I was on one of my regular running tracks, and I came across a Coles shopping trolley in a stormwater drain, and I figured, well, there's only two ways this got here. One is it was left there by somebody and the wind blew it into the stormwater drain, or somebody pushed it into the stormwater drain. By the way, there's a shopping trolley in a stormwater drain. You often see shopping trolleys in the creeks around here, or even just left on the streets. The supermarkets here, there are three supermarkets in Goulburn. In alphabetical order, there's an Aldi, there's a Coles and a Woolworths. At Aldi, they have a system where you have to put a coin or a token in a slot in order to release the trolley and use it in the supermarket. And obviously when you're finished and put your groceries in your car and take it back, you operate the mechanism again and you will get your token or coin back. The other two supermarkets don't operate that way. They just allow you to go get a trolley and they rely on you to put it back in the bays in the car park when you're finished, or just leave it and they have people who collect their trolleys. Now, as I said, it's not uncommon to see trolleys on the streets. And after I'd seen that one in the stormwater drain, in the run home from there, which was about 2 kilometres, I came across 3 more trolleys that were either left outside of shops or just left on the street. As I understand it, the Goulburn-Mulwaree Council pick up those trolleys when they're reported to them that they're on the streets, or the council, the operators of the supermarkets offer rewards for them, but if the council pick them up, they charge the supermarket a fee for holding it. So the council pick it up, they store it, and then they charge the supermarkets a fee to collect them. The councils are not inclined to pay that fee, so they often don't collect the trolleys. But then they have to, obviously, if that happens too often, they have to order more trolleys in order to be able to have sufficient trolleys to satisfy their customers. Now, the problem with just having these trolleys around is, as I say, they become a bit of a nuisance in the streets. They end up in the waterways and things like that, and that's not good. I understand that there'll be people in Goulburn who don't have a car and need to go and do their grocery shopping. So they get on the bus or they call a cab and go downtown, and then they've got to call a cab or get on the bus and go back home. Now, if you've got 3 or 4 bags of groceries and trying to get back home, it's not always easy to do that if you've got to catch the bus. And even trying to get all those bags into the cab isn't an easy exercise. So I understand that some people would go to the supermarket, buy their shopping, put all the stuff in the trolley, and then wheel the trolley home again. And if you live 3 or 4 kilometres out of town and you don't have a car, that's probably the only way you're going to get your groceries home. Those people are probably not inclined then to turn around and say, well, I've got this trolley, I'll just walk it all the way back into town and then I'll catch the bus home or I'll walk home, or whatever it is that they do. So you can see that someone who lives 3 or 4 k's out of town or from the shopping centre loads up the trolley with their groceries, walks the trolley back to their house, empties all the groceries out and puts them away in their house, and then puts the trolley out on the street somewhere or just leaves it somewhere and hopes to goodness someone will come and pick it up for them, or someone will report it to the supermarket that's lost and they'll come and get it. As I said with Aldi, they have a system where you've got to put a token or a coin in the slot, and when you return the trolley, you get the token or the coin back. In Sydney, in some places, one place I know of, particularly on the lower North Shore, they have a system where there's some sort of electronic device built into the trolley, and as you pass the bollards that are at the edge of the trolley, at the edge of the shopping centre, the wheels of the trolley lock up, and you just can't take it outside the shopping centre. So you are obliged, you have to go and put your groceries in your car and return the trolley to the shopping centre. You can't take it out of the shopping centre so it doesn't become a nuisance. I don't really know what the solution to the problem is, but I do think that there is a problem with people abandoning shopping trolleys and creating a mess of rubbish in the streets that somebody else has to take care of. And that becomes a problem for the supermarket, and becomes a problem for the council or whoever else collects them. That's my thoughts about shopping trolleys. And it's not really anything to do with motorcycling, much to do with the road we're on. Nevertheless, it's occurred to me today. So I'm still on the road that would be taking me towards Kangaroo Valley and Fitzroy Falls, and then on to Nowra. Fitzroy Falls is spectacular falls when there's water flowing over them. There is parking there. It's in the Norton National Park, which I mentioned is also around Bundanoo. There's paid parking at Fitzroy Falls, and there are picnic facilities there. The last time I went, which was maybe 2 years ago, the shop was closed, and they were just looking for new management for it. So I don't know if there's a cafe or food or anything available there any longer. I suspect that during this COVID situation, it's probably very difficult to get anyone to take it over and open a cafe there, because it's just likely to be closed due to some sort of restrictions. Anyway, so that's Fitzroy Falls. Kangaroo Valley is a little village beyond there. Before you come into Kangaroo Valley, if you continue down this road, you would go across Hampton Bridge, which is Australia's oldest still in use suspension bridge. It's a beautiful bridge with sandstone entrances at either end. There's a timber deck. One stage the timber deck was in danger of failing, I think, and you had to I know with buses in particular, that the people, if the coach was going over it, the people in the coach had to get off and walk over the bridge and then get back on the bus on the other side. You might remember me in earlier videos talking about that idea of spaciousness or space on a road where the tree line is back from the road a bit and it feels to be open and visibility far ahead is quite good and so on. This particular section we're going through at the moment, you can see the trees are quite close to the edge of the road and they cast those shadows onto the road and they give that dappled effect to the light, which is good to ride through. It's quite a pleasant effect. But it does, to me anyway, give the sense that the road's a bit more closed in and not as open. Not dangerous, just it's a bit more closed in. And as I might have mentioned in an earlier video, the possibilities during winter time of there being ice patches on the road that you can't see because of the shadows of black ice, as it's referred to, can make this riding there a little bit dangerous. Just coming up to the turn off onto Sheepwash Rd, which will take me back towards Bowral. It's quite a way till we get to Bowral, and there's a couple of little villages to go through before we get there. One is called Avoca, which is just up the road here. I don't know much about Avoca, but I'll tell you what I see as I go through. We're coming close to the end of this video, so I'll say again thank you to all the people who've been watching and following these videos. I hope you're enjoying them, and I will talk to you and tell you more about what's happening to this ride in the next video. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you again shortly.